Let's talk about scams. I love talking about scams. You love hearing about scams. Scams. Yesterday's video was about scams that eBay sellers might experience. Today's video, we're flipping the coin. Other side, scams buyers might experience. I've been selling on eBay for a long time. I've been buying on eBay for a long time too. I know all this stuff. You're getting 20 years of buying experience in a few minutes. Who doesn't want that? Number one scam, and a quick note. Whenever I talk about this scam, a few people always feel obligated to correct me that, oh, it's not a scam. Oh, it's a great way to make money, yada, yada, yada. If that's you, I'm going to delete your comment because I'm not talking about the 1 in a million good ones. I'm talking about the other remaining bad ones. And that's drop shipping. Drop shippers who go from Amazon to eBay. They just take the listing titles, they take the image photos off of the Amazon listing, and they put it on eBay, and they sell it to you for $5 more. Now, in theory, that's a consensual agreement, right? Here's how it can screw you over, though. First of all, you are paying more. Okay, whatever. But secondly, what happened to me? I bought some CD sleeves on eBay. Why? Because Amazon was sold out and I had to have them in 2 days. I buy them off eBay from a seller advertising 2-day delivery, and I get them 2 weeks later. Why? Because they bought the same CD sleeves that were back ordered off Amazon. If I wanted to wait 2 weeks, I would have done that. So instead of understanding what's really going on, I'm lied to by a drop shipper, and I can't go to the store and buy them that day. Extremely annoying. How do you avoid this? Well, you avoid this by reverse image searching the image to see where else it's being sold, or you copy and paste the title. Most of these drop shippers who are doing this kind of stuff are lazy. It's a volume game. They're not taking their own photos. They're not doing any of their own work. They're just outsourcing it, or they're using programs. It's a headache. I don't like it, but it's out there and you got to be aware of it. Number two thing that I really don't like, a scam, I'll call it, is bait and switch. Now, I know bait and switch has been around forever, but here's how it happens to me and how it might happen to you. So I buy a lot of video game consoles to sell on Amazon, off eBay. There's good deals a lot of times. Some of the PlayStation 3s, the PS3s, the PS3s are backwards compatible. The first 2 or 3 generations of PS3 is backwards compatible, meaning it plays PlayStation 2 games. And they go for a considerably higher amount than the newer iterations of this 15-year-old console. So I go there, I buy it, I have a great deal on my checkout page, I pay for it, an hour passes, maybe a day passes, and the seller says, oh, I don't have it, but I have a newer one. A newer one. Oh, okay, thank you so much, a newer one. I don't want the newer one. Is this a seller trying to rip me off? Maybe. Maybe they just are bad at keeping track of inventory. Maybe they're trying to scam me. I'm not here to make judgment on that kind of stuff, but I am here to inform you about this potential pitfall you might experience. So if that ever happens, just make sure, if someone really says, oh, it's a newer one, oh, it's a better one, make sure you know what you're getting. Research the substitution. Don't make any assumptions. I'm not saying they're bad people doing this, but I am saying that some bad people do this, and you don't want to be on the short end of that stick. The third one, I'd say it's a similar, albeit a bit less nefarious example. The fourth one, the last one, is just outright terrible, despicable behavior. But these first 3, I can understand how it might not be a bad actor. This third one, and while you're here, thumbs up for the video, really appreciate it. The third one is going to be when you buy an item and you receive it in a different condition as the item pictured. Most often this is in where there's one photo, one set of photos, but there's 75 available. I do this, I don't send bad conditions to people, but I do have quantity listings on individual items. And as a seller, one of the things that I make sure that I'm aware of is that all of the, in my case, video games, all the manuals are the same. All the discs have no scratches on them, stuff like that. Now, does everyone do that? No, they certainly don't. Especially when you're working with high volume sellers who sell collectibles, who sell clothing, who sell games, the kind of stuff where condition really does matter quite a bit. Now, how do you avoid this? Two ways. The first way, just talk to the seller. Say, hey, these are all as pictured, right? Just let them know that you're in the know. And even if they might be pulling this on other people, they're going to say, okay, this buyer is wise to my game. I'm going to send them a good one. That might happen. The other way is just make sure that the listing you have, or listing you're looking at rather, it's one of one, right? So the item you see is the item you get. Sometimes buyers say that, they don't always, but if there's no little, like it's an input numerical box on the listing page as to say, I want to buy 5, I want to buy 10. If that isn't there, it's a one of one, and you are most likely getting what you paid for. Unless of course, this fourth thing happens to you. And it hasn't happened to me, but it has happened to friends of mine. And so I do know that, amazingly, this does occur, and it's just outright theft. You buy something, you buy a $2,000 stereo system, you buy some sort of extremely valuable item that doesn't have the eBay authentication guarantee involved. So if I sell some high-value basketball cards, some high-value sneakers, a Rolex watch, for example, I send those to a third-party authenticator, and then they forward them to the buyer. That is great. Everyone's protected. I love it. But let's say I get someone to pay $2,000 for this Timex clock. They wouldn't pay that for it, but I'm just as a placeholder. Some item that's not guaranteed under this authentication program. I get them to buy it, and I got their money, and I'm thinking, oh, you know what? I already got their cash. What are they going to do if I just send an empty box? And that does happen. A guy I know almost lost $2,000 because what he received in the mail, although it had tracking, although it demanded signature confirmation, which is what eBay wants sellers to do, it was still empty. So it's my word versus your word, his word versus the word of the seller. It's a he said, she said scenario. And that's really bad, because the way you're going to get your money back, if it's $2,000, eBay is not just going to be like, oh, sure, here's your money, because in their mind, you could be lying. How's that? Pretty annoying, huh? You're going to have to either go to your payment institution, so your credit card company, your bank, and most likely, they're going to ask you to file a police report to say, I've been robbed. And again, it's still a he said, she said, but I think in their mind, that extra work, the risk of, if you were lying, of submitting a false police report, that's a filter enough to keep the bad buyers out of the equation. How do you avoid this? These are kind of the themes with all these. If it's too good to be true, if the account doesn't have a lot of recent feedback, because as some of you have noted in previous videos, you can hack into accounts with 10-year-old history. So even having a 10-year-old history isn't that good, but having, there's no number, but 100, 200, 500 positive feedback over the past 6 months and seeing consistent sales, that is going to protect you. Now, there could be someone just opportunistically looking to rob you, and you can't really stop that. But as long as, the price makes sense, it's not like way too good to be true. As long as the account has recent positive feedback, as long as they have multiple existing items, and you can just take, do a sniff test. Are these all stock photos that I can find on Amazon? Are these all insanely high-priced stereo systems with very low listing prices? If it walks like a duck and it sounds like a duck, it's probably a duck. Thanks for watching, guys. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you tomorrow, maybe the next day.